So the year end is coming. We're going to share our thoughts on the US market, the Federal Reserve, stuff like that. But before that, something that is also ending is the promotion for Mumu securities and specifically their Cash Plus promotion. Jonathan, tell us more about it.
Yeah. So if you have either spare cash that you're not using to invest anything, you can actually use Mumu's 5% per annum guaranteed Cash Plus program, and this one is only it's applicable for new users for Mumu. And let's say if you deposit 1,000 ringgit, you also can get 100 ringgit cash rewards. And on top of that, if you use our code FIRE24 over here, you can get an additional 40 ringgit. So if you want to get all of these sweet rewards and also the 5% guarantee return, you can use our referral link. It will be in the description and comments. So yeah, what's happening with the world is the US Feds. So I think the market is already expected them to cut a 25 basis point. And that happened. But what didn't the market expect was in 2025, the Fed did say that they are going to reduce lesser rates. They are not going to reduce lesser rates. They are going to like cut down on the rate cuts.
Cut down on
The
rate cuts. Okay,
yeah,
so
it's a
that
bit
means
confusing.
so that means if they plan for, say 3, maybe they're only doing 1 now.
Yeah.
Did they indicate how many?
So instead of 3, right now they say 2, but we don't know whether in the future they will say 1 or maybe 0. Yeah, it could be the possible case also. So they are basically trying to imply that they think 2025 is going to be quite an inflationary market because of Trump, right? So they're becoming more hawkish and also more cautious, and that actually kind of like impacted the Malaysian market. You can see that recently the KLCI and most of the index were actually down. But let's take a look at the world, what's happening around there. So the S&P 500 is down. Finally, it has been like the all-time high for quite some time already, like 6,000 points. Right now, there's like some sort of minor correction, but then the market rebounded back again.
I think one thing people need to understand is we tend to look at the Fed as a pointer to where the market is going. But I mean, statistically, this is someone with a lot of eyeballs. And our experience has been if something has a lot of eyeballs, it means that there's no alpha, there's no chance of making money unless somehow you know some secret knowledge, right? But in the absence of that, it's actually not super useful because like why did the market go up a lot? I think in part because they foresaw more rate cuts, which was exactly what happened. It was what's happening. Too busy to find stock ideas? Check out Fire Pro to shortcut your research time and effort by 90%. 10% off link in the comments and description. Maybe it did not go up as much because they are reducing the rate cuts, but it's still cutting, right? So the market is always, call it 3 to 6 months, maybe even more ahead of, ironically, the Feds. I know part of the market looks at the Feds, but I think the really smart guys with access to very different kind of information are already way ahead. So that's why rate cuts doesn't tell me too much.
Yes, exactly. But the market is also reacting a lot. Not only just in the S&P 500, the Bitcoin as well. Finally dumped after hitting at a high of 107,000 in terms of like Bitcoin prices, and now it's down all the way to 96. And the price point at today's also it's hovering around that price also. So that means is the people are getting more cautious on the Fed cuts.
Yeah, and of course, what Bitcoin is the most extreme expression of bullishness, right? So in general in the market, I mean, of course, you can go down even more to the altcoins and all that. But the Bitcoin, how it serves in the analysis framework is if it goes down a lot, it's max pessimism. If it goes up a lot, it's max optimism. So I'm not saying when it went above 100K is max optimism, but you can safely say it is on very much the optimistic side, right? I wouldn't know whether that's the top or not. I wouldn't make any such predictions. So it's no surprise when you enter a period for Bitcoin where there's a lot of euphoria. What's coming next is the reverse. The question is how much, and no one really knows. And it's, again, this is expression of the mood of the people, in a sense, right? Bitcoin is the people's money.
Yeah.
So the way it moves is a reflection of their emotions.
Yeah, and this is just only the past few data's price point only. So it doesn't really tell much only.
Of course.
Okay, so coming back to Malaysia, the sectors,
most
of them are down.
This is a week change.
Yes, correct, week to date.
This is the 3rd week of December.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So this is the third week of December. Only 3 are up.
Yeah.
This will be utilities, healthcare, and REITs. All these are all companies or industries we avoid more or less, except maybe utilities.
Yeah. So utilities one is because of YTL. This one is after the uplift of their MACC case, so that's why they rebounded back. For healthcare, more institutional investors are buying up the glove companies. I think also because they are reporting like some sort of recovery in terms of their profits. If you look at their quarterlies, right? So Corsan and Top Glove and also Harta Lega, these are the one that actually went up in terms of profit. They recover quite a bit. Supermax is still in the red. But so far, I've seen that the big funds, especially foreigners, they are only buying these three companies, and we'll show you here. So yeah, you can see Top Glove, Scoresun, and Supermax. The only guys that has been buying it is the foreigners, and they are the one that is kind of like dictating the price point for the glove stocks at the moment.
Yeah.
Not so much on the local institution, even though they have initiated some sort of like buy call for some counters. But yeah, you can see that some of them are actually still selling for local institution, which is quite fun, interesting. Another one that is I didn't expect was the Nation Gate. This one also the foreigners has been quietly buying quite a bit also. So there is something that they know that maybe we don't know. But so far, what we know from the public information is that they are helping NVIDIA and also Supermicro Computer to distribute some of their products. And basically just assemble box build some of the AI server and then ship it to the customers. That's about it. But we have some interesting insights among our research team, but we cannot share over here yet because nothing is concrete at the moment. But probably for Fire Pro members, maybe you will get this information soon when the time is right. Okay, commodities. Can see that gold is still quite of an all-time high, but then they kind of hovered already. They reduced. They are in the consolidation phase.
Brand is like the brand's a bit down, 10% down this year.
Brand is down. These are things also because people are expecting the bump in production by the US and also non-OPEC countries. Rubber also have made its recovery, but then it also kind of corrected.
Palm oil get double top.
Yeah. Palm oil is a double top right now. But this price point, it is kind of expected because right now we are in a La Nina kind of like phase.
Yeah, so for context, La Nina is a wet season. Wet season means more production means more supply means lower price.
It's something like a winter for Malaysia at the moment because you can feel that the weather right now is very, very cold.
Yes, actually, as we film, this is raining.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that's what's happening with the commodity. And for some companies that we want to cover is actually some of the known blue chip companies in Malaysia.
So, I think this is a big lesson, right? And we'll share it also in our upcoming reflection. So these are blue chip guys, right? Burmas Auto is, I believe, Mazda.
Yes.
Nestle, everybody knows Nestle. Panasonic, everyone knows them. And then, of course, Petronas Chemicals. So a lot of people come to us and say, hey, look, why do you do all this analysis and all this, reading and all that when you can just buy blue chips? Yeah, sure, you will sacrifice a bit of returns, but you're still going to get a good 8-10% return from the stock market if you just buy it, but it's hassle-free. Well, it's not hassle-free, as you can see, right? Every blue chip can become bad, each blue chip is subject to certain industry realities, right? Burmas Auto, I'm guessing it's to do with
China.
EV, China. Nestle has to do, I would say Nestle is a bit more internal, where they have not really done well. Panasonic is like, okay, do you need to buy from Panasonic?
No.
Right? You don't. And then Petronas Chemicals, oil prices and just non-renewables in general. So they're all subject to outside pressures that sometimes they themselves cannot control, right? Like what can Panasonic control?
Yeah, exactly. And this happened especially for the Panasonic. This one have to do with their post-COVID-19. You can see that people know that they have more choices. That's why Panasonic also realized this pain point and they kind of restructure and rationalize their business a little bit. That's why they sold like 2 manufacturing units recently. And since then, they didn't really manage to capture more market share. I mean, you can really tell from their latest quarterlies, they are not really doing that well. This is the same for Baotou also. So Baotou, if you think that China is our friend, right? Well, China also is secretly stealing our money in a way. Like they are stealing some sort of like, market share from especially
Yeah.
from guys like Mazda.
Yeah, but you have like what they're doing Proton, for
Yeah,
example.
correct.
Right.
Proton
They launched the new EV and things.
Mm.
And you're not gonna be more efficient than the Chinese. And of course, the Bumiputra partners for Proton will not maybe they don't feel good giving to the Chinese, but they also will not want to get rid of them because they're doing a good job.
Yeah, and we didn't share it over here, but Honda and Nissan also, they used to be like the world best or best selling automobile car. Right now they are forced to like merger or do some like
No, and then apparently Mitsubishi as well. They're doing potentially a third one.
So this tells you that China is really coming in very big, and they are really a huge threat. Okay, so some valuations on the Fed. You can see that this was shared in our previous video already. Basically, it is the FANG, the AI company. Right now, they are at an kind of an all-time high in terms of PE valuation. You can see the top 10 largest in the S&P 500, they are 13 times as compared to the 490, S&P 490, they are 19 times. And so far, the bubble has not been popped yet. We also don't know whether there is a bubble brewing or not, but probably there is because a lot of people are just investing in just this kind of like few companies. But we know that Bitcoin, the bubble did pop once in 2022 when the price went all the way down to 20K thousand. Right now it's like going back up again. So basically the funds are only focusing on just a few particular companies only, which is why the S&P 500 also has been going up and up. So what needs to happen for the bubble to pop is actually their earnings expectation. So what if they reported bad earnings guidance, like they didn't?
No, I mean they just miss. Sometimes it's not bad. It's just they just miss. Right? They say they're gonna grow 10%, they grow 7%.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, because the market are giving them a lot of expectation already, they think that they are the future. What does that mean also is that they think that they can continue to grow like continuously forever lah. But that's not always the case because there will be times where it's overheated and then they may need to pull back some capex spending, or maybe even consumer are not buying much of their products. That's why they have to like be more rationalized in terms of their business expansion and whatnot. So yeah, the coming few months, I think January or February will be the earnings season for the US side. So that would be quite interesting to see whether they can continuously beat market expectation or not. If they didn't, well, then you know what happens to the market.
Too busy to find stock ideas? Check out Fire Pro to shortcut your research time and effort by 90%. 10% off link in the comments and description.
So yeah, this is a capital cycle that by Marathon. It's quite interesting because right now we are the AI guys, your NVIDIA and whatnot, they are at this side. They are basically producing higher returns, especially for NVIDIA, and investors are very optimistic because they think that they are the only guys who can supply that. So far, it is the case for NVIDIA. They are the only guy who has been supplying the GPUs. But what if like more people like Chinese, maybe even other countries, or maybe even Apple or Microsoft came out with their own chip, right? It could be the case also.
Good returns attract competition produces.
Correct. So that leads to the second phase, which is over here, rising competition, and it will cause returns to fall below cost of capital. So we haven't seen this phase yet, but we might be going towards this phase if the competition really managed to catch up with them. And what's going to happen next is basically investments will decline and industry will start to consolidate and then firms will exit. Then once they reach to a certain point of like pessimism, like the glove industry, for example, right? When 2022, 2023, when basically every single glove company is bleeding out money, even the big four, that's where companies start to rationalize. They exit the glove industry. Only those who have spare cash would remains, and they are the only player. And so far, you can see that's why their share price rebounded for the past few months or even years for the glove counters, right? Because there's some sort of improving supply. And then again, then the cycle continues like that.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's what's happening. But this is the glove. Right now, we're explaining to you the AI and FANG. Yeah. So investors are optimistic. So be careful when things start to shift. And it's also a reason why we did a lot of this bearish sentiment. I see for the past 5 months, we have been like talking about when the crash is coming, correction is coming ahead, and whatnot. It's not really for clickbait. I mean, you can say it's for clickbait also. But reality is that it may happen. It's just we don't know when. But then we are trying to tell you that there are kind of like signs that investors are being too optimistic. And right now you can see there is already some sort of correction. Whether you rebound back or you correct further, this time we are not sure. But we want you to be mindful and also be careful of what's going to be coming ahead of time, because we never know in the future whether the geopolitical tension would like start to be worsen off, or maybe the Middle East war will start
That's
to
right.
like worsen
That's
off.
right.
Anything could happen in the future. That's why we need you to be more careful about what is happening with the market, especially with kind of like the euphoria stage that we are facing right now. I mean, even though my friends who have not been investing in stocks or even crypto, they start to ask
Yeah,
me,
I mean that day I
Yeah.
visited a cousin's udon place. Suddenly he asked me, "Hey, what do you think of Bitcoin?" I was like, I think you should just reinvest in your restaurant.
yeah.
I think you will make more money there."
Yep, exactly. So yeah, this one is just to end up. It's also from our previous video. This is the Bank of America's global research team and what the strategies
Yeah,
that they think.
you can pause and see. You know,
Basically, TLDR is basically they think that investors who put 25% cash, 25% commodity, 25% bonds, and 25% stock will outperform if you put in 60% stock and 40% bond.
right. So
Yeah.
basically, what they're saying is there's more options, right?
Yeah.
You should have more options.
Yeah, they are
Basically,
more
be more
diversified.
diversified.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
And also they say that a real asset,
Yeah.
which is basically like our commodities, collectibles,
Yeah.
will be doing well.
And
during
and
an
yeah, and they are
inflationary
also
time.
basically they are asking you to diversify, and they're saying that times are going to be tougher.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that's about it for today's video. And as of today's recording, I think FirePro is up about 50% of the Malaysia portfolio. FirePro Global, this one I haven't really checked yet, but we'll get to know the update soon. I think it's coming this Friday. You already know about it. Boring portfolio also kind of like we corrected a little bit because of one of the company that we have invested in. But nevertheless, it's still double digit. I think it's around like 13% ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's FirePro? Just now when we talked about the capital cycle, right? What we try to do is to find companies with prospects of higher returns. We don't find companies that already have higher returns, and the reason why, I mean, we could, but that's not necessarily the main area of focus. And the reason we don't focus on that is because, again, like Jonathan said, once companies already show a lot of high returns on capital, especially, you get a lot of competition, right? And the expectations are already quite high for these companies. So what we look for are companies where they have prospects, they have shown their ability to execute, right? They have some sort of track record, but expectations are quite low. So when something in the fundamentals change, some people call it catalyst, whatever you want to call it, then we are already there beforehand, before the expectations change. So we're there before things become positive. That's pretty much what FirePro is about. And that's why we fill up the portfolio with these sort of stocks. It's a reference portfolio for all our members to see. And then we also have write-ups for these stocks. And at the end of the day, it serves as a shortcut for you to find all these high prospects ideas.
Yeah, and recently we also bought and sold some stocks in FirePro Malaysia. So if you are interested to know what are the names, you can check it out in FirePro, and we have a free sample to see how we do our write-ups, how we analyze companies. The link will be in the description and comments down below. And that's it. We'll see you in the next video.